We helped this beauty brand grow from $56,000 a month in sales to over $126,000 in sales in less than 3 months. And I want to break down exactly how we did so today, how long did it take, what were the exact steps we took to make that transformation happen, and perhaps how you can replicate the same thing on your side. If you're new to the channel and you don't yet know who I am, my name is Justin and I'm the founder at paidadvertising.com, an e-commerce growth firm having spent profitably over $12 million on ads in the last couple of years. We are on track to spend over $3.5 million this year alone. We've worked with over 70 partners, and I've personally coached tens of thousands of students when it comes to marketing at my coaching gig at Educate. So with that said, I now want to walk you through this video. So the before, right? Looking at what happened before we came on board. So I want to give you some backstory too in a second, but just result wise, you can see on the left hand bar is the Australian version of their store. On the right hand side, you have their US store. So they actually have two different Shopify stores because they're selling in two different markets. Technically, they could combine both. We're in fact working and having them combine both right now because it's a bit of a mess tracking wise, honestly, when you have like two different stores, especially if you're going to use something like Triple Wall. But anyways, that's besides the point. So that's the month before us coming on board, which is July, right? So them coming on board, 38K a month in Australian store. So if I look at the after, 76K in the Australian store. Then going back to before, which was 32K in the US store for 59K in the US store. And all in all together, if you compare it to the previous period, well, for the Australian store, we're up 85%, and on the US store, we're up 57%. And that's without us actually starting Black Friday Cyber Monday sale yet for them. So to give you some more backstory, this brand was recently acquired, or at least before we took them on board, they had been recently acquired by two investors. This is a situation that I've seen all too well a few times now in the space over the last few years. So the original owner of this brand blew it up in 2020, 2021. A lot of brands actually blew up in that time period. Why? Well, TikTok was on the rise organically. It was also a great time for e-commerce, as you guys know. It was slightly prior to the iOS 14 update. So going back to it right here, they had reached 500,000 followers on TikTok in that time period. Their peak MRR, which they achieved once, was 395K. But as fast as they grew, as fast as they fell, essentially. So what ended up happening is that, and I'll get to it in a second, it was all organic. So organic traction on TikTok, more specifically, it was 100% of a TikTok organic brand, and it was a quick rise to fame. They did a lot of money fast, and then it just dipped dramatically and then basically fell flat. So I don't even think I'm allowed to say that out loud on YouTube, but let's just put it that way. They're selling beauty products for down there for women, and they basically had zero prior ad account learnings left because they had to cycle through different agency accounts here and there in hopes of finding off the bans and restrictions from Meta more specifically. So right now we were with pretty much a fresh new ad account. I say pretty much because it had about $6,000 or so in ad spend with a little bit of learnings, but it was nothing compared to what they've had in the past. So the dangers now, which is something I'm kind of letting you know if you are blowing up on TikTok or if you blew up in the past or whatever that is, right? The dangers with blowing up is that you are reliant on the goodwill of the market. The dangers or the downfall with blowing up on TikTok is that you are reliant on the goodwill of the algorithm, which for them turn against them, right? They went from averaging 50,000 plus views per video. Like they were posting every day. Every video had nothing shy of 50K views or more. They even had a handful of videos, 100% organically, reached 10 to 15 million views. Now, if you look at their TikTok for the last year or so, it's averaging about 500 to 2,500 views. They're not getting the same reach as they used to be. And that's the truth with a lot of TikTokers, actually. We've seen that in the last year. There's been a big shift in organic algorithms. Not as easy as before as it was to blow up on TikTok. So they had to now turn elsewhere to acquire customers and keep the brand alive. What we started doing, so they came to us essentially and they were like, guys, we just acquired the brand. The previous owner was doing all of the marketing. He was 100% or almost, basically 95% or so organic. He ran a couple ads here and there, but he was fighting off again these ad account restrictions. Never really spent that much money on ads, and the owner didn't really have an ad background, so he was running the ads himself. And now they were starting afresh, so they hadn't really run ads in a couple of months. since we were starting almost fresh new ad account, we had to rely on the two buyers' knowledge of what worked in the past, right? We had to kind of pull them, and keep in mind, they had also acquired the brand very recently, so they didn't know much about what worked in the past. We luckily had a bit of a touch point with the owner, so the previous owner, which was able to kind of guide us in terms of what works. So they had loads of content, like loads, tens, dozens, if not hundreds of TikToks they had in bank that they knew either worked well in the past, so either blew up organically, or either got, from what the owner had mentioned, some decent results with ads, and we were able to have access to that folder of content. So basically what we started doing on the first month is doing a split test. We were split testing their previous content, which, if you're familiar with the way that we run our own ad accounts, we have this broad structure with an ad set of main, so it's basically all the winners, and then we have like 2 batches of dynamic creative tests happening at any given point. So we threw essentially a lot of their content into this main ad set, thinking that they were past winners, and then we had a dynamic creative test running side by side. So that's basically what we did for all of August 2023, but all of their past content outperformed ours. And I'm gonna say that in all transparency. This is not of a overnight success of like month 1 things started looking better and then they were up and running and super happy. It was not one of these stories. Like month 1 was honestly ugly, as it is in 99% of partnerships like this one. Their previous content outperformed ours, which was not good, because that meant that this was content, like we were, as I say right here, performing on borrowed time. In a sense, that content once had a previous life. It fell flat. It's not working anymore organically, and it wasn't working anymore in ads. Somehow now it's working again. If it's working again, and great, probably we're tapping into a new market, but we know that this content at some point died off. So chances are it will die off again at some point. Out of the top performing / spending ads, and I say that with a grain of salt, 1 was made by our team, which you can actually see right here. 1 ad only was made by our team right there. It's like somewhere in the middle of all of the ads in this ad account. So month 1, we roughly spent $12,000 at a 2.52 ROAS. Their objective was to hopefully get above 2.5. They were profitable at less than that, at about 2.2, but they wanted above 2.5 in order to have some profit left at the end of the month, which we managed to achieve. But again, we weren't necessarily proud of these results, given that all the ads were based on previous ads that they had ran already. So month 2, client comes to us, is like, guys, we want to scale hard. We really want to grow this brand like fast. We want to blow this up. We know this potential because they once were good. And that is something, and nothing against the owner in itself, but it's something I've seen quite a lot. Brands or businesses that once had success in the past sometimes get stuck to that success. So if somebody was once on a pedestal, fell down from it, they think that they can quickly get back to that. But chances are, and I've heard that said so many times, as fast as you grow a brand, it's as fast as you can lose it. And that's the best example of it. So to say, like, the brand wasn't built on strong foundations, but now we wanted to scale hard, or at least that was the objective given to us. So we're like, look, we can make it happen, but there might be, like, this might hinder the results. Client was like, all right, well, let's see what happens. They're like, all right, cool, let's try and scale, right? But the thing is, we hadn't found new winners yet. It was all like previous ads. So I'm putting that again out there because to show you that month 2 wasn't necessarily that much better off of month 1. So let's get into it. What we did is we scaled at the detriment of account results. We had a few more ads showing promising initial results, but nothing conclusive yet. Across the board, September 2023 was also quite a slow month for most of our direct-to-consumer brands. Facebook had a lot of issues also as a platform itself early in the month. So this brand definitely wasn't spared with it. Now, one of our learnings after month one was that clearly UGC was by far the best performing content type on that account. Like, statics weren't performing as good. UGC was doing great, but we were dealing with 2 issues with UGC. One, on the client's part, we were dealing with shipping delays when sending products to creators. We had multiple occasions where our creators were reporting that it was taking 2-3 weeks and plus before they actually got the products. And we also weren't in control over shipping. Sometimes with some of our clients we are, and that was one of our clients that wanted to keep control over shipping. So we were kind of blind as to see what was going on there. But that actually is changing in month 3, which I'll show in a second. And we also had too few UGC campaigns in a pipeline to meet the ad spend's demand for content. So we were producing about like 5-6 pieces of UGC content a month, whereas honestly we needed a lot more if we wanted to hit it out of the park on this account. So that was an on us issue where we had to crank up production, quite frankly. So month 2, hey, now there's like 3 of our ads that are appearing in the first page of like high spenders / top performing ads. Great, but we know we could do better. Now, let's get into month 3, because month 3 is where it starts getting a lot more fun and a lot better. So now we sat down with the client and we reworked the objective from aggressive scale to profit optimization, because we're like, look, month 1, it was kind of a first time that you ran ads in months. It was just about seeing what works, what sticks. The learning of month 1 was that definitely UGC is working a lot better than anything else. Okay, great. Month 2, you wanted to scale aggressively. It didn't work because we're not built on strong foundations. Don't do the same mistake again that basically the initial owner did, which is try to blow up this brand too fast. Let's focus on profit optimizing and finding better ads this month. Owner was like, you know what? I agree. They realized that September apparently was one of the first months they actually were unprofitable as a brand since they had acquired the brand. So they're like, all right, look guys, we want profit. That's the most important part. We want profit. We don't want to scale to the detriment of profit. So let's focus on profit. We're like, oh, cool. We reworked our internal UGC processes and managed to more than triple our output of content. We went from having about 6 to 7 projects in the pipeline to having 26 in the pipeline. We had more than 13 we received within that same month that we were able to launch. So it was looking a lot better in terms of content flow on our part. We also launched TikTok as a new ad channel for the first time for this brand. So that also, which I'll show you in a second, showed very promising signs. And I decided to offer the owner an audit of their entire Google Ads strategy, because I was like, look, let's just take a look at everything now, see what's going on, where is it going wrong. I knew they were spending quite a lot on Google, but we weren't managing that channel. So I was like, let me take a look at that. So when I did my audit, I figured out that somehow they had hired a freelancer in October, or actually, sorry, in September, that for some reason tanked the account, which was at a 3x for us in August. It was slightly down by default in September, like every app platform that we've seen for that client. And in October, it was 1.9x. So we sat down with the client and we're like, hey, here's the audit. You do whatever you want with that, but there's an issue you need to fix. He was like, yeah, I know. We're looking into it. Freelancer did a bunch of changes. We're trying to undo a lot of these changes. It didn't work at all. We're trying to revert back the state of the ad accounts to what it was prior to him coming on board. Like, all right, look, let's see if this is going to improve results. Well, what do you know? If I look at Facebook now, Facebook for the month of October, we spent, and I actually didn't say the spending earlier for September. September we scaled, right? We went from 12K in ad spend to 17K in ad spend, but we dropped ROAS from 2.52 to 2.26. Month 3, we somewhat maintained spend. We're at 16,000 here, so let me just make this a little bigger on my side. Where it's almost 17,000 again in ad spend, so we're pretty much at the same exact level for 2.64 ROAS. So this is by far the best ROAS we've had for the ad spend level since we took on this account. Every ad you see that is highlighted with a red box is an ad that our team has produced. So in there, we are now starting to occupy the bulk of all of the performing ads on this account. So we're like, great, it's looking a lot better. We're finding a lot of new winners now. We're starting to really catch what works for this brand. That looks good. TikTok, very pleasant surprise in this month 1. I'm showing you triple well why. Because that brand, if I go back to earlier, they have 2 Shopify stores. Attribution is a mess with these different Shopify stores. For Facebook and Google, they're not even looking at triple wall. But given that when we look at triple wall, there's only... So triple wall is the only... TikTok is the only ad platform they're running exclusively on their US store. They're not running any ads on TikTok to their Australian store, which makes it a lot easier for us to track results on a triple wall. So looking into that, we're at 4.48 ROAS for the month of October. We spent a mere, where was it right here, 2K, because I showed the entire month of October. It was closer to the middle part of October that we launched TikTok ads, and we were very conservative at first, but it showed promising initial signs. We're like, all right, great. And as you can see on the right-hand side of that screenshot, hopefully it's big enough for you to see, but 4.48 channel ROAS and 3.96 new customer ROAS. So we knew that acquisition was doing very good on TikTok. Now, month 4 to date, because I'm recording this video as of the middle of November, we have yet to launch their Black Friday Cyber Monday sale. UGC now is coming in much more frequently from our creative team, allowing us to better leverage this content type for increased results. So now we've really increased the size of our pipeline for UGC, which helps a lot. I'll show you in a second what the ad account is looking like so far for the month. We now occupy a vast majority of the top performing ads on the account on Meta and 100% of the top performing ads on TikTok. So pretty much all of our ads on TikTok. We're getting ready and gearing up for the big Black Friday Cyber Monday push. Their objective is of a 3.5 blended ROAS across all platforms and counting like email, organic, everything, which we're pretty confident we're going to achieve. And we've pushed ad spend budget up for what we manage as a team, because they also have Google, which we don't still manage to this day. But we've pushed ad spend up and are on track to spend north of 25 to 30K this month, which is way up from where we were at here with the initial like 15 to 20K. We're looking to almost double ad spends from what we were at initially. I say 15 to 20K, but initially speaking, we're at 12K actually, which is even lower than that. So month 4 to date, look at that. I've did like much bigger boxes because doing all of these little individual boxes wasn't really cutting it, but they have, out of the top performing ads you see right here, there's only 3 that are still theirs. Ad 3, which was one of the ads we had since the very start, so it's been crushing it for that brand. But it started going down this month, actually, like way down in results, especially in the last like couple of days. So we turned it off for the first time. At the time recording this video, for one of the first times ever, we're running almost, I think it's like we're 80% of the ads now, or 90% of the ads on the account are fully done by us. And we're running fully on those ads. Let me just make that a little bit bigger. Again, outside of Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale, we've spent 10K so far at the halfway point of the month. And we've made 2.94 ROAS back. So we're beating our ad spend so far, because if we're continuing in that space, Facebook's going to be spending roughly about like 22K in itself. And that's not counting for the TikTok ad spend we're having, which is the record we've had on this ad account in terms of spend, at a record ROAS outside of Black Friday. So we're very, very excited to see how Black Friday Cyber Monday is going to perform for this brand. And month 4 to date, we've unfortunately had a dip so far this month in TikTok. We're at 2.83, which is still not bad. Again, they're profitable at 2.2. Their objective is just to keep it above 2.5. But we've also dramatically increased spend. We're actually 101% increase in ad spend 4 months to date. So versus the last period, we're heavily scaling TikTok as of right now. You saw for all of October, we spent 2K. Now for just halfway through November, we spent 4.1K. So we're on track to spend about 8 to 10K for the month on TikTok, which is going to put us at about that 30K mark or so in ad spend for the month. Fun note, which I'm bringing up right here, is this correlation that I noticed on TripleWall. So TripleWall has, through their Lighthouse feature, a Pearson correlation coefficient, which basically shows you how much 2 metrics are comparable. So if there's an effect between one and a second metric. So in that case, I'm actually comparing Google ad ROAS to TikTok ad spend. So, or perhaps the opposite, which is if we increase TikTok ad spend, well, how much is Google ROAS increasing by the same time? So you can see in pink, it's the curve of the TikTok ad spend, which we can clearly see has been really going up in that time period. We actually see the exact date we started spending on TikTok, which is October 10th. By the way, for you to note, you can also see the uptick in Google ad ROAS in that time period. So Google ad ROAS started going up from the same moment we started increasing TikTok ad spend. A 0.4 coefficient basically means that if we increase TikTok ad spend by 100%, Google ad ROAS should increase by about 40%. It's roughly the correlation we've seen right now, which funnily enough, we're not even noticing the same correlation with Facebook. So we're not seeing right now that there's a positive correlation nor negative necessarily with Facebook, meaning that the more we spend on Facebook, the better Google ROAS look. It really looks like a lot of the people on TikTok are just searching up the brand. Perhaps why? Well, they are now approaching a similar strategy as if you guys are familiar with the Tabs chocolate brand, which they're having like different creators post on their own unique accounts. But these accounts, since they're all like new and smaller accounts, they don't have like a link in bio. So there's the URL, but it's not clickable. So people have to like Google the brand. So we're thinking that this might have a like an effect on that. Let's see, honestly, if that's going to continue. But I just thought this was a strong enough correlation for me to bring up in this video. So some of the learnings that we can have right here, it's one, again, the faster you build a brand, the faster you can lose it. So it's better off to take more time to build that brand than it is to just do a quick rise to success and then have it built on shaky foundations. Number 2 is getting results and really making a partnership like this one work takes time. It takes a lot of time. We've seen it right there. Month 1 wasn't the best. Month 2 was very so-so. Month 3 was like much better, and month 4 is looking much better. I'm showing you that again to just show you this things takes time. I've always said that way. If every client came on board and judged us on month 1 performance, we'd probably be out of business. We would have never worked with these 70 plus partners and made this 25 million plus in client generated revenue. Never in the world if everybody judge us on month 1 performance. It really is like, it takes a couple of months for it to really pick up. And now I have like full confidence that any brand I can take over, we're gonna crush it within like month 2, 3, or 4 tops. Like this is usually where it looks good. And I'm saying tops. I had a case study at some point shared on the channel for one of our brands called Codeword, which we worked with them for 13 months before they had like their big breakthrough. It took 9 months before they really had like their first breakthrough, you could call, with ads and started being really profitable and making some decent money. And it took 13 months before that brand made like very good money with ads. So I'm showing you that because again, it takes time, and typically month 1, sometimes even month 2, dare I say, results are lower than they previously were before we hop on an account like this one because we're throwing so many variables at the algorithm. Going back right here, results would have been technically much higher if we just removed from the account all of our ads that we try to test in this month one, because look, all of these ads are taking up unnecessary ad spend. So this ad spend would have been allocated to the winning ads, which chances are would have gotten much better results. Same thing in month two, right? Our ads weren't significant enough in order to get results, but significant enough to start getting spent, which again, technically results were lower than what they could have been if they just ran their ads that they had before. But then it started being much more profitable and sustainable in month three. And then it's not even talking about month four, which we're basically taking over the entire ad account at that point. So I hope you had some form of learnings about just timeline of what you can expect and about like how long really this creative testing process usually takes when coming into a new ad account. It pretty much, from what you've seen in this video, why I focus in the creative part, because that's really where our leverage is at that point, especially with that account. Pardon my French, but we had to get our shit right in order to produce enough UGC. And we also have to find a lot more winners to power this account through time. So if you watched this video all the way through and you are an e-commerce brand wanting to work with a Meta, Google, and TikTok partner growth firm, then click the link down below and book in a call to speak with our team today. And on that note, I'm gonna wish you an amazing day. Check out other videos on the channel for some more useful e-commerce marketing tips, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Peace.